maybe for one week, we are not taking particular interest in it. Now, let's look at what naked truth is. What is naked truth? When we talk about naked truth, what is it? What is it at all? Okay, so the naked truth is plain, no clothing, unadorned, unadulterated, and without embellishment. So something that we are saying that we are not going to add on or take away from. It's supposed to be as it is. What intimacy is. So naked truth simply means complete truth. Complete, nothing more and nothing less. We are not adding on and we are not taking anything from it. So when I talk about naked truth, now I think the topic can change to the complete truth about intimacy. I think that one people will be more comfortable with it. Okay. So what crossed your mind? If I have the opportunity to be asking questions and I should ask you, what crossed your mind when you realize that the topic for today is centered on intimacy? What would you have said? What is intimacy? And if I can ask a question, and I know that majority of us would have said that physical intimacy or sex, That is what maybe some people would have said. So today, intimacy. We will have to go to the source of intimacy. I hope I will not bore you with getting to the Bible for us to know where intimacy is originating from. But it's coming from some place. I've written Remember Genesis because we all know that it is God who said, God himself said that it is not good for man to live alone. And that because of that, God said that together we're going to create a woman for Adam. So God created a woman from Adam. And God gave Eve to Adam. He blessed them and asked them to be fruitful in the Garden of Eden. And this one is before sin even came into existence. Let me leave Genesis and just jump straight to the New Testament, John. And we can only appreciate intimacy when we are able to be intimately connected to God, because he is the source of intimacy. For God so loved the world that he gave his only son, we all know John 3:16. And how can one be intimately connected to God? I want us to get to the root of it all so that we can understand it when we are having intimacy with our fellow human beings. God himself has taught us. And how can we be intimately connected to God? Now, the Bible tells us that God is intimate with those who put their trust in him. Thus, the more we learn to trust God, the more intimately we will draw closer to him. I hope you are getting me. Now, it is only sin, let me be so courageous to say this, that it is when we are not righteous, it is only sin that makes us depart from God. And that is how King David expressed it in Psalm 73, verse 28, that, but it is good for me to draw near to God. I have put my trust in the Lord. So what we can deduce from it is that we can only be nearer to or closer to God when we choose to trust him, when we choose to obey him, when we surrender our will to him. And so James in the New Testament has given us a clear picture of what God expects of us in James 4:8. And it says that draw near to God and he will draw near to you. Now, if you want to be so close to somebody, and it's giving you a clear invitation that you draw closer to me and I will draw closer to you, I think it sounds familiar for our men. Draw nearer and I'll draw near. So when you look at the new translation, the NIV, it says it's this way, that come near to God and he will come near to you. Wash your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you double-minded. This is so profound. And yet we tend to ignore this statement. So you ask yourself, how can I draw closer to God? And we are talking about intimacy with God, getting connected with God. And the Bible is telling us that we should draw nearer to God and God draw nearer to us. So it has given us three things, according to James, that when we do, we will draw nearer to God. And the answer that James 4:8 gives us is that wash your hands. For the lawyers, when we say wash your hands, it reminds us of one of the equity that we say, he who comes to equity must come with clean hands. Clean hands. So wash your hands, purify your hearts, and have faith or have trust in the Lord. So when in the Bible it says that wash your hands, it is talking about being spiritually clean. Because when you are spiritually dirty, you can't get closer to God. So be spiritually clean. If you remember, one of the 10 commandments will tell you that thou shalt have no other God before me. Please, we are doing intimacy. And what am I saying? We are going to learn something from God, the Master himself, and then it will help us understand better when we are talking about intimacy with our fellow human beings. And the James 4:8 is telling us that we have to wash our hands, have clean hands. So if you are dealing with a partner and you are saying that have clean hands, I think when we get there, we understand. Purify your hearts. What does it mean to purify your hearts? Having pure hearts. We see, basically, staying away from sin. So clean hands set the table for a clean heart and purified conscience. No double minds. And that's why you double mind. So that's want you to have double mind. You have to be fixed. They have that loyalty only to him, only to God. That is what God wants. So attending churches, revivals, and all the night prayers that we do themselves will never draw us nearer to God unless we trust and surrender our will totally to God in love. Because God doesn't, he doesn't order us or push us to compel us to love him. It is a voluntary action from us. We have to love God voluntarily. So to be pure in your heart and actions is what God is expecting us, so that we will be so near to him. The only thing that is preventing that prevents us from drawing nearer to God is sin or righteousness. And let's not confuse, or let's not think that attending churches or let people see that you are a Christian and can let you draw closer to God. It doesn't work so. They cannot control God's nearness to us, not at all. Because being near to God is a relational thing, it's a personal thing. It's a personal thing. Okay, so I just want to let's look at a scenario here. Let us look at this scenario. A couple goes out for a dinner on a Valentine's Day. Very soon, we have a lot of couples going for dinner dates and things like that. So they go out at a romantic restaurant with candles, great high life music at the background, great food. Wow. So the ambience and romantic music may encourage affectionate and sexual intimacy between them, but only to the level that the ambience encourages. Why? You see, the environment alone cannot deepen their mutual trust for each other or enhance their love for each other. Now, if they don't trust each other, the environment does not have any power to bridge that gap, but only when they learn to forgive and restore their lost trust. If you don't trust somebody, you won't even be happy to get closer to that person. Okay, so let me wrap up with the God intimacy thing. I hope you have gotten something from it. Now, how can we be intimate with God? What does it mean to be intimate with God? And wrapping up, it says that trust. We can only get closer or get nearer to God when we trust God. We have to trust God with all our hearts. That's what the Bible says in Proverbs 3. It says, trust is at the core of intimacy. Trust is very important, and it cuts across, not only with God. So intimacy is also a personal relationship. We need to have personal relationship with God based on trust and love. Personal relationship. You're able to talk to God through prayers and say that pray without ceasing. So you're able to pray without to God. You're able to tell God about everything that you are facing. You let God lead you in your life. Okay, and then knowledge is there. Learning the Bible is priceless because it leads us to God. We cannot be closer to God enough when we don't even know what His word says. God's word is a way for us to learn more about God. So the same way, intimacy goes with trust, it goes with personal relationship, it goes with knowledge. But we have to add on to knowledge trust, the love, the godliness, the purity of heart and hands, as it has given us in James 4. But God wants us to have heaven on earth. You see, God has given us all these things so that the relationship we are having with Him will help us to mirror that with our fellow human beings. In His own wisdom, He's given us our parents, He's given our siblings, our children, our friends, husbands and wives, for us to mirror His love that He has for us on earth. We will be going to heaven. That is what we all want to do. It's every Christian goal. It's our dream, it's our desire. I mean, if not, what are we doing? We want to go to heaven, but we must first learn to live intimately with each other here on earth. I tell you, a lot of people not even go to heaven because of the way they dealt with their husbands or their wives or their friends and family. All right, so intimacy can be said to be knowing and being known by another person at a deeper level. You feel very close to this person that when any small hitch occurs, you can feel the distance. I think I'm talking to somebody, they know what it is. So intimacy is relational. You can be sitting very close to one person and you feel at a distance because you are not close to this person, you don't know this person. Yes, somebody can be thousands of miles away from you and you feel so close to that person. We can only be intimate with a person we trust. I've already said that trust is at the core, is very core to intimacy. Now, humans require other humans with whom we feel close and to whom we can commit. We
Ye
trust.
paper na ba to.
Abraham Maslow hierarchy of needs.
Janice
The
ne
needs of
paper no.
men.
And was it?
After meeting physiological and safety or social needs, intimacy and love are the most fundamental of human needs. That means it's very important. So let's delve now into the naked truth about intimacy. Now, I have these quotes here from some of my favorite poets and authors, and it's very, very profound. Intimacy is not purely physical, it's the act of connecting with someone so deeply you feel like you can see into their soul. That is what he's saying, and I agree with him. And then when you look at May Rose, he said that intimacy is more than just being with someone. It is turning into them and allow the energetic currents that flow through them to connect with our own, like electricity. I think you've heard the word electricity before. Somebody will say that when I get closer to you, I feel that electric, it's like some electrical currents, flowing through me. And we say this. So real intimacy, according to her, means an end to living for yourself and the beginning of truly living as one. Okay, so that is what Rose also said. Now, the Man's Journal, I got this from Eric Erickson. He said that intimate relationship is not necessarily a physical relationship, of course. We'll go into it. Why he's saying that it's not only a physical relationship, because there's more to it than physical relationship. Rather, it is a trusting. You see, what the Bible, now that we have learned the basic, the origin from the Bible, I think it will now be more, we more understand it better. It is clarifying it for us when you read such posts. It's saying that it is a trusting, close friendship with another person in which one can be honest without fear of rejection. Because you trust the person will never reject you. All right. So there's nothing more intimate in life than simply being understood and understanding someone else. Okay. Now, because of all that I read, I also got from these some elements of intimacy. So, intimacy is what? Intimacy is relational. It requires trust or faith. It's personal. It requires commitment, values, constant effective communication. You have to spend time together. You have to respect or honor each other. You have to be patient with each other, be kind, be nice, be humble. And we have to be patient with each other. Perseverance, endurance, and also of intimacy. This is what I mean. This is what intimacy or the elements of intimacy should be. Okay, so intimacy means that there is no privacy. You don't carry anything private now, at least with the person you are intimate with. Can we do that? You drop your privacy. You are nude and naked. Good, bad, whatsoever you are, you open your heart. And whatever the cost, you pay for it. Whatever the trouble, you pay for it. And that's good. So according to this person, when you are intimate, it means you can't hide anything from your partner, from your spouse. You have to be nude. You have to be naked totally before the other person. Okay. And because of this, we have the intimacy map. I've already said that it's not only physical. What am I talking about? Some people are even propounding 12 elements. They are saying that we have more than even the 8 I have here. And I agree, just that some of them can fit into some of the ones that we have here. So we have spiritual intimacy, physical intimacy, sexual intimacy, emotional, aesthetic, affectional, social, and intellectual. These are all the intimacy map that we have currently. I will be talking briefly about some of them because I know you will have some questions for me and I want us to go through because we have only an hour. So let's go through them quickly. So when we talk about spiritual intimacy, what is that? Spiritual intimacy is you having spiritual connectivity with your partner. So you ask yourself, am I able to discuss religious or biblical or spiritual matters with my partner? Are we able to do that? Are we able to discuss some of the concepts and feel comfortable with that? Do you have spiritual intimacy? This is sharing our inspired moments together. This might mean worshiping as a couple together, praying together, studying the Bible together, discussing religious concepts. Now, if you feel disconnected from your partner in any of these, it's important to open up and discuss. It means that there's a problem. And most often, any relationship that lacks spiritual intimacy, with time, that relationship will not last. It will end. It will either end spiritually or end emotionally or end physically. What do I mean by that? Ending spiritually means that they are not connecting. And so they will live in the same house probably, but they will not be having anything in common in the house. One may be sleeping at a different place. They may be sleeping on the same bed, but they are not together in anything. Because spiritually, spiritual intimacy is one that really has a core. I've already explained why. Because it's God who gave it to us. And as Christians, if you cannot have spiritual intimacy with your spouse, with your partner, then there's a problem. There's trouble. A lot of people are disconnected emotionally. They don't think about each other. They don't care. They care less about each other. And that is because they don't have spiritual intimacy. I must say that a family or a couple that pray together, they stay together. If you are a family and you pray together, if you have children and you have devotion and pray together with your children in the house, as couples, you pray together, you have spiritual intimacy and you stay together because God will be helping you. Now, then I move on to
couple that pray
intellectual
together.
intimacy and then social intimacy. Now, the intellectual intimacy is very, very important. People downplay it, but we are having lots of issues, marital issues that come before us in the law courts. I've been dealing with a lot of divorce cases. In fact, for more than 10 years, divorce cases that have dealt with, you see lots of intellectual intimacy issues, spiritual intimacy issues that causes the divorce. Okay, so the intellectual intimacy, what am I talking about here? Ask yourself this question: does my partner have the capacity to learn new things? And if that person has the capacity to learn new things, is that party or that spouse ready to apply them? Now, is the person able to think about issues with me objectively? That is intellectual. We are dealing with the mental fortitude of a person. Is the person able to deal with issues? Can the person reason well with you? Now, when you look at yourself and look at your partner, do you see your partner to be so intellectually down? Or does it have the capacity at all? Anyway, so does your partner consider your viewpoint? Does he even appreciate it? Can you, the couple, can you debate and compare ideas and options and still maintain your cool? Can you do that? For those who are dating, please don't forget that intellectual intimacy is very important. If you're not able to connect intellectually, there will be problems. Then it means that dating has to stop. That relationship have to end it. And I've said it, when you end 100 engagements or 100 dating, and it's better than marrying and having a bad marriage or entering into a bad or poor marriage. Okay, so intellectual intimacy and social intimacy is very, very important. Exchanging ideas and thoughts about things you think and care about. You also might share your thoughts about life in general or interests. Share the experience of beauty, music, art. Can you share that? Does anything that you interest you, does it interest your partner? Socially, how do you do? Couples don't have to do everything together. I'm not saying that you should have the common friends and common interests. No, that would really be so boring. But it's important to share experiences together. For instance, you might even be, we can work together, sing together, see a movie, go for a movie, or even, sit in a garden, debating, comparing things. It's very important that we be able to connect socially and intellectually. We move on to emotional intimacy. Now, emotional intimacy, as the word is, you can say, to do with your emotions. Are you able to share your emotional connection with your spouse, with your friend, with your partner? Are you able to do that? How do you feel about something that your person said? Do you even understand what the person, do you appreciate the person's feeling? And does he or she appreciate your feelings? It's very important that we have to be emotionally intimate with a partner. We have to make sure that we have that compatibility, that connectivity is very, very important. Now, it means that you can talk to them about your innermost thoughts. You don't have to hide. Truly understanding your partner, being able to be vulnerable. You can cry, and it's accepted. It's okay. Emotionally, coming out and share feelings is key to emotional intimacy. And without this emotional intimacy, that's why we have lots of couples, some of them who are depressed and stressed out and burnt out, because they are not able to have somebody who is close, who supposedly to be so close to them that they can share their emotional status, emotional conditions with them, because they don't even trust them. And that is a problem. So emotionally, if you can't share, then they say, who do you diffuse with? In case of any problem, who do you turn to? Who do you run to? If you don't have a partner that you trust, that you think you have emotional connectivity, emotional intimacy that you can share with, it's a problem. Then I move on to affectional and physical. I've added some of them so that I can run fast with it. Now, affectional and physical reminded me of Isaac, one of my favorite Bible characters, Isaac. When you look at Genesis 26:8, when the first time I heard the word endearment, I heard it from Genesis 26:8, and I was very young that time. When I didn't even understand it. When I grew up, I researched into the endearment. And because of that, because of Isaac today, I'm going to give you a bonus. Anytime I give a presentation, I give a bonus. A bonus, something that you can go and learn, or have it to acquire it as one of your knowledge tools. Okay, so affectional and physical. It's essentially being affectionate with each other, being affectionate, being kind and nice one another, touching each other, kissing each other, cuddling on the couch. You be in the kitchen and you be patting your partner at the back or hugging. Even the tomato, you can play with a tomato, if you know onion though, and then will give you watery eyes. So you can be so affectionate, and affectionate has to be expressed. You cannot say that you have affectional or physical intimacy with your partner, but you don't touch your partner. That it can never work so. It doesn't work so. It has to be touchy, or it's not everybody too who likes to be touched, but it depends on the approach, how you go about it, how you do it. So if your partner is the one who seems to be disconnected from you, please ask about them, talk about it. Okay, so I'm moving on to the bonus I'm giving before I go to the last intimacy, the sexual intimacy. Now the bonus I'm giving is coming from, like I said, the endearment I learned from Father Isaac, and that is kissing. Okay, so this is this one, the affectionate and physical intimacy. I'm giving some of the examples of it. Like your partner tries to massage your neck, but you are striking away. Consider where this reaction is coming from. You have to consider, why am I doing this? Pay attention to your thoughts and your reactions. You have to give your partner the attention the person deserves. So touching of the innermost selves, laughing together, kissing, cuddling, they are all very important. Okay. Yeah, so this is the bonus I'm giving, and that is kissing. Kissing. We've heard a lot about kissing, but do we know what kissing actually is? Do we know what it does for us? In the olden ancient Romans, when they didn't have the luxury of having to be able to record their contracts on paper for them to execute. What I mean by execute is this person putting his signing his signature, and the other party signing his signature before witnesses. They didn't have that luxury. So what they would do was that what they were doing was that they would speak, orally, give the terms of a contract. For instance, if they are buying a land from another person, this is what we are going to do before witnesses. After they have given out the terms, then they will kiss each other down. They believe that the mixing of one person's saliva with another will create a bond between them through the contract. And so they will never either vitiate the contract or frustrate the contract or terminate the contract unlawfully. So they put, it's like putting your life, on the line by kissing another person, creating a bond. And it was so sacred for them when they have to kiss to seal a contract. Okay, now let's move from the ancient Romans and their kissing as a seal in the contract. The same way, that is how it developed. So our recent age, that when pastors are officiating marriages, they will ask the couple, the man, to kiss the bride. The moment the pastor says kiss the bride, the pastor is now doing what the ancient Romans were doing, making them seal the contract of their marriage with a kiss. So the case that when you are marrying and you are asked to kiss the bride, it's a seal. It is a seal that creates a bondage. All right. So I said I'm going to give you bonus. Now you know where kissing and what it means when somebody is marrying. Now let's continue. What does kissing do? What does it do? I'm not talking about a peck on the cheek. No, I'm not talking about just blowing a kiss. I'm talking about what some people will call the French kiss or the deep kiss. They have so many different names for it, for that. When you kiss like that, it says that it creates bondage, it reduces stress, it improves our body's response to each other. Now, it increases libido, especially in women, as the saliva in a man contains testosterone and a little bit of wastage here. that can stimulate a woman's libido. Okay, so knowing this, I think some women will never deny their husband from kissing them if it will increase their libido, if it will reduce stress and improves their response to one another. Now, what kissing also does is that it increases the oxytocin. It's a hormone that we call the love hormone, which provides bonding, intimacy, and well-being. Hey, this is what kissing does. It reduces cortisol. And cortisol, I'm told, is a stress hormone. We don't want stress. So we should be kissing. It helps us feel close. It helps us stay committed for a long haul. Okay, so kissing is good. And that is why I said that then, because it's good, smart couples will make time to kiss, no matter how old they get or how long they've been together. Therefore, frequent kissing is a sign of a healthy and happy relationship. All right. So that is the bonus that I've given, and that is about kissing. So let's go to the last intimacy. And this one, I know people are ready with their pen and paper because they want to learn or say listen to what I have to say here. Sexual intimacy. Sexual intimacy begins long before engaging the act of sex. Of course, from what we have so far, intimacy is initiated through quality time, thoughtful gestures, and kind words. Kind words. Now, when you read Proverbs 30, verse 19, Solomon, King Solomon, the old King Solomon, Mr. Loverman, said something. And he said that there are three things which are too wonderful for him and that he cannot understand. Solomon of all people, he was so wise. And he said that there are three things that he can't understand. That is so wonderful to him. And then he mentioned the three things. What are they? He said that the way of an eagle in the air, the way of a serpent on a rock, the way of a ship in the midst of the sea, and then the way of a man with a virgin. No, so we are now talking about sex here. Sexual intimacy is about sex, making love. And Solomon is saying that it's one of the wonderful things that he can never understand. Okay, it's so wonderful for him. No wonder he has so many wives. He really wanted to understand what sex is. Anyway, so sexual intimacy is a celebration of the full love you share in the marriage. Please, sex is supposed to be for those who are married. For my youth, I'm talking to my youth here. Sex is not for those who are not married. So if you are not married, you cannot engage in sex. It's not for you. But you can learn something about it. Put it down. When God's time is the best. When God's own time, you marry, then you can, experience it with the knowledge that you have acquired. Okay. Now, instead of sex being reduced to loving one another with bodies only, let's strive for it to be a true and full expression of love, connecting heart, mind, and soul. So no, there's no reason for you to fake. No, there's no need for that at all. I mean, you have somebody that you trust, somebody that you love, somebody that you think that you know, and he knows you, and he agrees that whatever you are going through, he will help you through it, and you also help him through that. So there's no point of faking. Sexual, emotional satisfaction, sharing, and self-abandon in the physical measure of two persons. Sex is beautiful. And it is beautiful when it's given by somebody who loves you. Now, it is not just sex that gives the pleasure, but the lover. Sex without love is a meaningless experience. I'm not talking about just going to meet somebody and having sex. No, it should be between people who have some intimacy, who know each other so well. And when it's like that, it is beautiful. It is so beautiful. Okay, so our women, this one is going for our women here. Keep your man happy in the bedroom. unfortunately, most of us we underestimate the importance of keeping our man's needs met. Some of us, when we married, we didn't know anything. Nobody taught us anything. We had to struggle through it because marriage is the only thing that you enter without having any knowledge whatsoever, and you are given a certificate for it. Then you go, they push you go and experiment with each other. So let's understand that keeping your man happy in the bedroom is very, very important. Now, it's not only the bedroom that you can make your man happy though. If you are in a home and you have your own privacy, why should he always be in the bedroom anyway? You can't do it. Even the kitchen, sitting room, everywhere is yours. Experience and explore each other. Oftentimes, this comes from the basic differences in women and men. The complaints that we get is that some of the women complain that I'm tired, I don't have time, and blah blah blah, giving all sorts of excuses so that they can't have that loving sexual intimacy with their husbands. And this is bringing from the fact that some are saying that women are different. We have different needs from our men. I hope you have read the book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Anyway, so for men, sexual desire is much like physical hunger. And if it's not fed properly, the relationship will struggle. If it's not fed properly, it will struggle. You wonder what makes a man, and you can never understand. That is their nature. That's how God made them. They want to have sex with their wives and allow it. Now, women must look to understand the needs of a man from his perspective, not from hers. And I think our men too can be considerate and know that our women too are different. But I'm sure that if the woman is enjoying sexual intimacy, she would never grumble and give excuses. She will be willing, more to have more of it. So it depends on how you do it too. Amen. Be patient with us. Okay. So, health benefits of sexual intimacy. All right. Now, positive intimate relationships have been linked with numerous health benefits, such as lower blood pressure. Hello, those of us with high blood pressure. Engage in sexual intimacy with your spouses. It will lower it, and it also reduces stress. Positive and passionate intimate relationships are not only fulfilling at any age, they may be associated with real health benefits. Now, these include lower stress levels. Remember the cortisol, that is the stress hormone is reduced. Remember, we learned that better healing after surgery, healthier behaviors, and even a longer lifespan. Intimacy has even been found to ward off depression. Depression, of course, if you have somebody that you have emotional intimacy with, that you can share your whatever you are feeling with, there will be a need for depression to even set in. Physical affection has been linked to lower resting blood pressure and higher levels of oxytocin, a feel-good hormone. And this is coming from the National Council of Aging. Okay, so this is what we have for the intimacy, the naked truth about intimacy. I've learned the financial intimacy so that we can treat that wholly as a one presentation. These are some of the questions that we can consider though. Is financial management part of the one fleshness resulting from the marriage covenant? Is it? Why is it necessary for families to adopt sound financial management principles? Is good financial management necessary for a peaceful, stress-free, and happy home? I've left this one with these questions, and I hope that by God's grace, we will treat the financial and intimacy another day. Now, we have causes of intimacy problems. Intimacy. People are not able to have proper intimacy with each other, no matter the type of intimacy. These are cardinal. Lack of communication. Communication issues. I have to talk about communication issues. We will not end here. Lack of communication, depression, anxiety, other mental illness, resentment, anger, mistrust, having children or other engagements, job or other out-of-home commitments. Some people have gardens that is preventing them from having, that true, totally intimacy with their spouses, child life experiences, and financial issues. So these are it's not exhaustive. The list is not exhaustive. More can be added onto that. But these are some of the causes that we have for problems in intimacy. And so I copied this verbatim from MaggieFreemans.com because it's giving us 8 tips for intimate couple relationships, how we can enhance it. We have the problems. How do you solve these problems? And these are the suggestions, and I agree with them totally. And it's saying that spend time together. God is saying that draw near to me and I'll draw near. The same thing goes for human beings. Spend time together. Being attentive, responsive, nurturing, caring, and affection towards each other. So you're not only spending time together, but you're doing these things, being affectionate, responsive, nurturing. Respect your partner's needs for private and alone time. Avoid possessiveness and jealousy. Communicate openly. Listen with an open heart. Make yourself known and visible to the other. Avoid aggressive criticism and personal attacks. Don't attempt to dominate your partner when you disagree with each other. Stand up for yourself without putting your partner down. Don't assume that you know your partner's thoughts and feelings and wishes better than your partner does. It can never be so. Even your partner may not know himself that much. Keep in mind the big picture. That is, it is more important to be intimate than to be right. I mean, if you are right, and you are right, and so what? If you have overreacted or hurt your partner's feelings, have the courage to apologize. And when the person apologizes, please be kind enough also to forgive your partner. And I'm hoping that when we go through all these, the God will help us so that we're able to stay intimately with each other, with our partners, even with our friends. It goes for even our friends and our family as well. So please don't forget that intimacy equals love, it equals respect, caring deeply, losing yourself, sharing together, forgiving each other, trusting each other, and passionately satisfying each other. Thank you, and may God bless you intimately. Thank you.